The man who made millions laugh couldn't speak a word anymore. The legendary Manuel, who said, "I know nothing," had literally forgotten everything. But as he walked through the corridors of Denville Hall, sometimes that familiar smile would appear on his lips, as if somewhere in his mind that funny Spanish waiter was still alive. Have you ever wondered? What happens to those people who made us laugh so much when they get old? How do comedy masters spend their final days? The story I'm going to tell you today is truly shocking. Andrew Sachs, the man who played the world-famous Manuel character, from a little child escaping Nazi Germany to one of Britain's most beloved comedy actors, and then to a dementia patient lost in silence. Manuel's real story is far more dramatic than you think. April 7, 1930, Berlin. When Andreas Siegfried Sachs was born, nobody could have predicted he would one day play the world's most famous Spanish waiter. His father, Hans-Emil Sachs, was a Jewish insurance agent. His mother, Katharina, was a Lutheran librarian of Austrian origin. A mixed marriage, a mixed child. In 1930s Germany, this was very dangerous. But what's really shocking, when little Andreas turned 8, his closest friend told him, "My family has forbidden me to play with you, because you're half Jewish." That day the little child first understood he was different, but worse was coming. In 1938, his father Hans was arrested by Nazi police. Just days before Kristallnacht, he was released thanks to the intervention of a friend in the police force. The family decided that night they had to leave Germany. This is exactly where everything changed. 8-year-old Andreas, his mother and father escaped Berlin on a night train. They had only a small suitcase with them. Destination, London. When they arrived in England, they had nothing. They didn't know the language, no money either, but they were alive. They settled in Kilburn in North London. Andreas would now be Andrew. They forgot how to speak German, because being German was dangerous, and that little child would never want to see Germany again. In the 1950s, Andrew Sachs was still studying shipping management, but his real passion was something else. Radio plays. He had started getting small roles at the BBC. His voice was beautiful, and his accent was now perfect English. Nobody could tell he was actually born in Berlin. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. In 1958, his first big chance came. He would appear in a Whitehall farce called Simple Spy Men. His first experience in the West End. On the first night he went on stage, his heart was pounding. The little refugee child who had fled Berlin 28 years earlier was now performing in one of London's most prestigious theaters. When the curtains opened, the audience burst into laughter. Andrew discovered he had a natural talent for comedy. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. In 1960, he met the love of his life, the Melody Lang. Melody, an actress like him, was also a fashion designer and writer. When they married, Andrew adopted Melody's 2 sons from her previous marriage. Then they had a daughter together named Kate. A happy, peaceful family life. But real fame hadn't started yet. Until the mid-1970s, Andrew Sachs was a recognized but not yet famous character on British television. He appeared in various series, The Saint, Doctor Who, Crown Court. But in 1975, a phone call came that would change his life. When John Cleese answered the phone, he didn't even know Andrew Sachs, but he remembered seeing him perform in Habeas Corpus in 1973. "We're making a new comedy series," Cleese said. "There's a Spanish waiter character. Would you like to try it? What you're seeing now is nothing." Andrew hesitated at first. He didn't speak Spanish, but Cleese said, It doesn't matter, he'll speak bad Spanish anyway. On the first rehearsal day when Andrew entered the studio, he had a complete character in his head. Hair messy, shirt disheveled, a perpetually confused Spanish waiter. Okay, he said in his first line. Everyone in the studio laughed. At that moment, Manuel was born. You won't believe this, but when Fawlty Towers started broadcasting in 1975, nobody predicted it would be this popular. Only 12 episodes were going to be made, but the Manuel character was so beloved that people recognized him on the street and shouted, "K?" Andrew's life had completely changed. He was nominated for a BAFTA. John Cleese won, but Andrew wasn't complaining at all. With Elton John's encouragement, he even released song records as the Manuel character. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. But fame had a price. The set was very dangerous. While filming the Germans episode, he didn't know his jacket had been treated with acid. When they filmed the fire scene, he actually burned. He got second-degree burns. In another scene, when John Cleese hit him with a frying pan, the props department gave him the wrong pan. No padding, real pan. Andrew struggled with headaches for weeks, but he never complained. It's part of professionalism, he would say. When Fawlty Towers ended in 1979, Andrew Sachs was world famous. But he had also been typecast. He was only called for funny, confused characters. But what's really shocking, he wasn't angry about this at all. "If we're making this many people laugh, how wonderful," he would say. Manuel's costume was displayed at Madame Tussauds in London. Children called him Uncle Manuel. Andrew loved this attention, but he wasn't just Manuel. He narrated hundreds of documentaries on radio. He recorded C.S. Lewis's Narnia series, Charles Dickens's classics. In the Are You Being Served movie, he ironically played a hotel manager, the complete opposite of Manuel. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. In 1988, he returned to Berlin with his wife Melody. After 50 years, he would see his birthplace for the first time. The BBC filmed a 3-part documentary for them. Andrew visited the neighborhood where he lived as a child, the place where his father was arrested. It was a very emotional experience. "If we hadn't escaped from here, we probably would have died," he said to the cameras. On that trip, he realized how lucky he was and how grateful he was to England. As he entered the 2000s, Andrew Sachs was in his 70s but continued working. His voice was still strong, his mind still sharp. In 2009, at age 79, he played Ramsay Clegg in Coronation Street. He appeared in 27 episodes. At this age, he could still learn new things. This is exactly where everything changed. But in 2008, a scandal shook Andrew's life. The event known as Saxgate. Russell Brand and Jonathan Ross left very crude messages on Andrew's answering machine on their radio show. They said very inappropriate things about his granddaughter. Andrew and his family were very upset. At this age, he had to deal with such a scandal. The BBC apologized, Brand resigned, but the wound hadn't healed. What you're seeing now is nothing. In 2012, he played his last major role in the movie Quartet. With Maggie Smith and Billy Connolly, they portrayed elderly musicians. During those shoots, strange things started happening to Andrew. Sometimes he would forget his lines. Sometimes he would be confused about where he was. Melody was starting to worry. When the film was finished, they went for a doctor's checkup. The result was heavy. Vascular dementia diagnosis. Andrew Sachs's acting career was over. When dementia was diagnosed, Andrew was 82 years old. He told Melody, "At least I completed Manuel. People will remember me like this. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. In the first years, his illness progressed very slowly. He could still make jokes. He could still do Manuel impressions. But he gradually started speaking less. In 2014, he was confined to a wheelchair. His speech also became difficult. Melody was caring for him devotedly. "I was there for Andrew every moment," she would say later. "You won't believe this, but..." The strangest part was this. He still remembered Manuel's lines. When he said, "I know nothing," that old smile would appear. It was as if the illness didn't affect the Manuel character. That funny Spanish waiter was in the most protected corner of his mind. When visitors came, sometimes he would suddenly say, "Que," and everyone would laugh. Andrew would smile too, but he had forgotten why they were laughing. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. In 2015, Melody was struggling to care for him alone. Andrew's condition was worsening. That's when someone mentioned Denville Hall. "Special nursing home for actors," they said. "We think Andrew would be happier there." When they saw Denville Hall, Melody was very impressed. This wasn't an ordinary nursing home. The walls were filled with old theater posters. Famous actors' photographs hung in the reception. The atmosphere was respectful but warm. But what's really shocking, the manager excitedly said to Melody, "Andrew Sachs, Manuel, we would be honored to have him here." Most of the staff knew Fawlty Towers. When Andrew arrived, they gave him a special welcome. That first day was very sad. Andrew couldn't understand where he was. "Home, home," he would murmur. "What you're seeing now is nothing." But a few days later, something miraculous happened. One of the other residents approached him. "Are you Manuel?" he asked. Andrew's face suddenly lit up.
Sí, Manuel,"
he said in that familiar accent. At that moment, everyone understood that Manuel was still alive inside Andrew. Andrew's days at Denville Hall had a certain routine, but the staff understood his special situation. Sometimes he would spontaneously start doing Manuel impressions. The other residents would be very entertained. This is exactly where everything changed. Activity coordinator, Sarah started showing him Fawlty Towers episodes. When he saw his younger self on television, Andrew would watch very carefully. He would move his lips during Manuel's lines. In the "I know nothing" scene, he would try to laugh along with those who were laughing. No sound came out, but his smile was wide. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. Melody visited every day. Sometimes Andrew recognized her. Sometimes he didn't. But in every visit, she would show him old photographs, especially the photos from Fawlty Towers shoots. When he saw those photos, a sparkle would appear in Andrew's eyes, as if he remembered those happy days. You won't believe this, but Jennifer from the staff noticed this. Andrew showed no reaction when he saw other comedies on television, but the moment Manuel appeared on screen, he would focus his attention. It was as if his body recognized that character, Jennifer would say. An 86-year-old man still felt the character from 45 years ago. This was very impressive. Dementia had deprived him of many things, but it couldn't take away Manuel. In the autumn of 2016, Andrew's condition worsened further. He could no longer speak at all and had become bedridden. Melody came every day, but this was very difficult. Seeing her husband of 56 years in this state was heartbreaking. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. One day, Melody brought him recordings of old radio plays, the Narnia series that Andrew had narrated. When he heard that familiar voice, Andrew's eyes opened. He started listening. He listened to his own voice for 10 minutes. Melody was crying because her husband looked so peaceful. But what's really shocking, in November 2016, Melody made her final visit to Andrew. That day she told him, "Andrew, you made everyone laugh so much. Now you can rest." Andrew looked at her. He couldn't speak, but there was understanding in his eyes. When Melody returned home, her heart told her that Andrew would die soon. November 23, 2016. Wednesday morning, Andrew Sachs never woke up that day. He peacefully took his last breath in his sleep during the night. This is exactly where everything changed. When the staff found him, he was very peaceful. There was even a slight smile on his face. Dr. Stevens said it was as if he was having a beautiful dream. Maybe in his final dream, he was on stage as Manuel. John Cleese was arguing with him. The audience was laughing. Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail. When John Cleese heard the news, he immediately posted a message on Twitter. Just heard about Andy Sachs's death. Very sad. He was a very sweet, gentle, and kind man and a true comedian. I couldn't have found a better Manuel. The BBC broadcast the communication problems episode that evening in Andrew's memory. What you're seeing now is nothing. His funeral was held on December 1st, the same day his death was announced to the public. Melody had wanted to keep it private, but the same day, Gold Channel ran Fawlty Towers marathon all day. People said goodbye to Manuel this way. Melody later said, "My heart was breaking every day, but Andrew never complained. He remained strong until the end." Today, years after Andrew Sachs's death, Manuel continues to make the world laugh. You won't believe this, but Fawlty Towers is one of the most watched classic series on Netflix. New generations discover Manuel and laugh the same way. Andrew's Manuel costume is still displayed at the Victoria and Albert Museum. When visitors see that uniform, they laugh and say, "Kay, you haven't seen the biggest surprise yet." Andrew's memory is specially preserved at Denville Hall. His room has been turned into a small memorial room. Fawlty Towers posters hang on the wall. His BAFTA nomination certificate is on the desk. On the chair is a small plaque. Andrew Sachs, Manuel. The man who made the world laugh found peace here. Thank you for watching this story. Andrew Sachs, Manuel's story is actually all of our story, because in life we're all a bit like Manuel. Sometimes we misunderstand. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we still try our best to make people happy. And even today, someone is watching Fawlty Towers and laughing at Manuel saying, "I know nothing." Andrew Sachs didn't die as that little child who escaped Berlin. He became immortal as Manuel, living in the hearts of millions. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nursing Home channel, because every comedian has a final curtain, and these stories deserve to be told.